The notion that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity is a concept that has been circulating in certain circles, particularly among conservative and evangelical groups. This idea suggests that the media's emphasis on climate change is not solely driven by a desire to raise awareness about environmental issues, but rather to undermine Christian values and promote a secular, liberal agenda. While this claim may seem far-fetched to some, it is essential to examine the underlying arguments and motivations behind this perspective. One of the primary arguments made by proponents of this idea is that the media's focus on global warming is an attempt to shift the attention of the public away from traditional Christian values and towards a more secular, human-centered worldview. They argue that by emphasizing the importance of environmental stewardship and the need for collective action to mitigate climate change, the media is promoting a form of eco-theology that rivals traditional Christian teachings. This, they claim, is an attempt to supplant the authority of the Bible and the Church with a new, secular orthodoxy that prioritizes the well-being of the planet over the salvation of humanity. Another argument made by those who believe that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity is that the scientific consensus on climate change is being used to promote a form of scientism that undermines the role of faith in public life. They argue that by presenting climate change as a scientific fact that requires immediate action, the media is implying that faith and reason are mutually exclusive, and that those who question the severity of climate change or the need for drastic action are somehow anti-science or anti-intellectual. This, they claim, is a form of intellectual bullying that seeks to marginalize Christian voices and perspectives on the issue. Furthermore, some proponents of this idea argue that the media's coverage of climate change is often infused with a form of apocalyptic rhetoric that is designed to create a sense of fear and urgency around the issue. They claim that this rhetoric is not only exaggerated, but also serves to undermine the traditional Christian narrative of salvation and redemption. By presenting climate change as an existential threat to humanity, the media is, in effect, creating a new form of eschatology that rivals the Christian concept of the end times. This, they argue, is a form of secular eschatology that seeks to supplant the Christian narrative with the new, secular vision of the future. However, it is essential to note that these arguments are not universally accepted, and that many Christians and people of faith are actively engaged in efforts to address climate change and promote environmental stewardship. In fact, many Christian denominations and organizations have issued statements and taken actions to address the issue of climate change, recognizing it as a moral and spiritual imperative. This suggests that the relationship between Christianity and climate change is more complex and nuanced than a simple war between the media and the church. In conclusion, while the idea that global warming is a war by the mainstream media against Christianity may seem like a conspiracy theory to some, it is essential to understand the underlying arguments and motivations behind this perspective. By examining the ways in which the media's coverage of climate change may be perceived as undermining traditional Christian values and promoting a secular, liberal agenda, we can gain a deeper understanding of the complex and often contentious relationship between faith, science, and the media in contemporary society. Ultimately, however, it is crucial to recognize that climate change is a real and pressing issue that requires a collective response, regardless of one's religious or ideological perspectives. By working together to address this issue, we can promote a more sustainable and equitable future for all, while also respecting the diversity of perspectives and beliefs that exist within our global community.